amazingly, inexplicably, it's the one argument we've never used. The only good one, and we've never used it. You think you inherit only because you don't believe that we are descendants, that the Jews are direct descendants. You convinced yourself that the Jews in Israel are just Europeans looking for a land. Well, no, we are actually the Jewish people, so case closed.
I wonder if you can help me paint a picture of how we're going to get there, because on the one hand, I've heard you say over these past few weeks that this, what happened on October 7th and the aftermath, the fact that mainly it seems there was a lot of left-wing peaceniks that were attacked, people who were trying to do their best to reach out their hand in peace and friendship with their neighbors in Gaza. And, you've been saying that this has smashed the whole paradigm, the peace process paradigm for us. And it's shown us that it's the whole time it's really been a sham. There's never really been a Palestinian leader that's seriously wanted peace. And they do polls in Gaza and Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, where it seems like there's majority support for Hamas and what Hamas did. So how can you hold that on the one hand, but then on the other hand, you're saying that you've said that what you expect is, and what we're hoping for, the real miracle, is that basically Arab Palestinians will recognize the truth of the God of Israel and of morality and the Jews' rightful place in the land. How can you hold both things in place, saying we've got to be tougher and stronger, but don't worry, it's all going to work out great, and they're all going to become good and godly?
Well, not all of them. Some of them are just beyond hope, and they just have to be destroyed because they're poisoned. There's no rehabilitating, but the vast majority. Let's pretend, all right? Let's pretend I am a devout Muslim. My belief and my claim is that my ancestor, Ishmael, was the older son to Avraham. Avraham was given the land of Israel as an inheritance. And if you look at history, no one was able to capture the land of Israel by force. They occupied it, they controlled it, they never made it theirs. It never became theirs. Because you can't gain the land by force or by gift or by purchase. The only way to own the land of Israel is by inheritance. History has made that very clear. So now I come along and I say, I am the older son of Avraham, and so I inherit the land. I am the heir to this country. Therefore, you may not be here. You don't belong here. You're occupiers, like all the others in history. So you got to go. They've been saying this for 70 years. And what is our answer? We're the only democracy in the Middle East. We're not communicating here. My claim is that I inherit the land. It is mine. So we say, okay, so let's have a two-state solution. You're not listening to me. We're not communicating. If you do that to me, Israel says, we will come after you and we will wipe you out. We are not communicating. Even if you wipe me out, it belongs to me. Look at how bad these people are. They kill babies. Well, yeah, babies inherit. So if there's a Jewish baby, that's our enemy. So the only question here is, who inherits? What are we answering? What are we saying? How are we addressing this issue? we run away from it. We run away.
Well, I mean, some will say they'll pick up on, we have an indigenous connection, long-standing, historical. We're returning. The world says we have a right to the land. The UN, even though we seem to not have much regard for it post 48.
But you see, that also is an insult. The Muslim says the land belongs to me by inheritance, and you say, "Oh, but the United Nations gave it to us." You're not making any sense to them. You're not responding to their claim. Even calling it anti-Semitism. Yeah, there's anti-Semitism in Europe. What's unique about this? They may not even be anti-Semitic, but you have invaded their ancestral inherited land. What do you say to that? Say, "Oh, we're going to beat you up." That's not an answer. And why does every Jew represent a threat and there are no civilians as far as they're concerned? Because this is not a war. This is a question of inheritance. And the big issue, according to the Torah, is, does Yishmael inherit with Yitzchak before Yitzchak?
Just to be clear for our audience, Rabbi Friedman is referring to Yishmael as Ishmael, Yitzchak is Isaac, two biblical characters, children of Abraham.
So this war began when Sarah said, "Banish this woman and her child from the house because the maid's son is not going to inherit with my son." That was a declaration of war. And it's been going on ever since. That's the issue. So what is our answer? Let's assume that the claim is a sincere one. They really believe Ishmael was older. He is the son of Abraham. He gets to inherit. They believe that religiously. Like, how do they know anything about Ishmael? Because they read it in the Torah. And in the Torah, it says that he is the oldest, the firstborn of Abraham's children. So, where is he wrong?
Well, the Torah also says that it's inheritance of the people of Israel.
Many times over. So if we could show that they're misreading the Torah, their argument is over. And being religious people and true believers, if they're convinced that that's what the Torah says, then they'll become our best friends.
It's a big if, though.
Our argument is that the Muslims of today are not direct descendants of Ishmael. They're not biological grandchildren because they're very intermarried, and there's no one that I know of who can trace his family tree back to Ishmael. Nobody. They are ideological descendants in that they never believed in idols or in trinities. They're circumcised like Avraham was told to be. They pray a lot. So ideologically, they follow the path of Avraham compared to Buddhists and Christians. And so, yes, they have that claim, and it's a good one. It's to their credit. No idolatry ever, and circumcised because they think they're descendants of Ishmael. But we are biological descendants of Ishmael. I think I told you the story. This guy
You mean of Yitzhak?
of
You
Avram.
mean of Avraham and Yitzhak? Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sorry. Um, this guy approaches me at the airport years ago, and he launches into a little sermon about how every word in the Bible is true. He finishes his little sermon and he remembers his manners. He says, "Oh, excuse me, what is your relationship with the Bible?" My relationship. I'm a Kohen, which means that Aaron is my grandfather. And son after son after son. If Aaron is my grandfather, then Moses is my uncle. And Miriam is my aunt. That's my relationship with the Bible. His mouth fell open. He didn't know what to say, and he just walked off. So I'm thinking, he just finished giving me the sermon about how every word in the Bible is true. Why was he so stunned? He didn't mean true biologically. He meant true on some philosophical, theological, ideological level. But literally true, only the Jewish people. So, argument has been settled. You don't inherit by being ideologically related. You inherit biological.
Are you saying that if Muslims or Arabs could prove that they were descendants directly of Ishmael, they would have some kind of claim?
Yeah?
They would.
They would have a claim. Doesn't mean they'd be right. But the way it is, they have no claim at all. So let's turn it around. I'm a Jewish guy, and I say I am the biological descendant of Avraham, so I inherit the land. And the Muslim says, but we never worshipped idols. I said, that's nice. Like, you're a baroness. That's good. Good for you. And we're circumcised. Great. What does it have to do with what I'm telling you? I'm telling you, I inherit the land. He said, but we pray a lot. Very nice. What does it have to do with anything? So, amazingly, inexplicably, it's the one argument we've never used. The only good one, and we've never used it. You think you inherit only because you don't believe that we are descendants, that the Jews are direct descendants. You convinced yourself that the Jews in Israel are just Europeans looking for a land. Well, no, we are actually the Jewish people, so case closed.
But don't you also need to hold the idea that the God of Israel is, the truth? Like, you need to hold both things in place.
Oh, they do. We don't have to convince them of that.
Well, there's some belief in kind of supersession, and that like now Islam has become the main religion, and it's not just about they have a right out of the fact that they're descendants of Ishmael, let's say, but because they believe Islam needs to become have political really control of the world, certainly the heart of the Middle East.
Well, the desire to dominate the world, the answer to that is, sorry, we're not going to let you. That's not a biblical or communists wanted to dominate the world. Some say America wants to dominate the world. Well, go ahead and try, but you're not going to do it. You can't do it physically. You can't do it. But the real religious fervor that makes them willing to die for the cause is not Sharia law. So it really is a matter of honor. And in the Middle East, there is nothing more important than honor. So when we say, we'll share, we'll give you your own state, that is so insulting. You're going to give me? You're the intruder. I'm the inheritor. And you're going to give me? It explains everything, really. Why haven't they accepted?
Please, yeah, sure.
Everything we offered. Ehud Barak offered them 90% of everything they want. No. They don't want it as a gift from us. That's an insult.
But you don't think they already believe that we are the direct descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? You don't think they're convinced of that?
They're not. And their proof is we don't live by those laws. We don't behave like Avraham. In 1967, after the war, the huge debate in the UN as to who fired the first shot, who are the aggressors, and who are... There was one spokesman from Saudi Arabia, I believe. His name was Baroudi. He was not the ambassador to the UN. He was a minister, foreign minister. He came after a long week of debates as to who fired the shot and who's the aggressor. He came, he said, I want to speak. And he got up and he started ranting about how you're not Jews, you're just Europeans, and you come here with your hot dogs and your mini skirts. We don't want you here, go away.
Yeah, the truth is, I actually have heard Mahmoud Abbas say that about us. We're sort of, we're just white Europeans, fake Jews. It's true. I have heard him say that.
So even if not every one of the terrorists actually knows what's motivating him, but they're caught up in that frenzy. It's a matter of honor. So even if you say, we'll kill all of you, yeah, you might. But we are the inheritors. You're killing the heirs. So that's not a good answer. You can kill us? That's your answer? You'll never have this land. You hear them say that?
Sure.
What makes them so sure? Because the only way to have the land is to inherit it. Otherwise, you're just like the Babylonians and the Romans and the Persians and the Turks and the British. You'll never own this land.
Is Israel unique in that it's the only land in which you have an inheritance? And if that's the case, why does Israel have to be like that?
It's in the Bible. This land I give you as an inheritance. And that's it. That became the nature of the land.
But do you have any sense why God set it up like that for Israel specifically?
Well, you can also ask the question of why is this land called the Holy Land? What made it holy? And is it holy only when you behave in a holy fashion? Or is there something inherently, intrinsically holy about this land? It seems like it's something intrinsic. So God gave the Holy Land to the holy people, to the chosen people. The land of Israel to the people of Israel. And we are the people of Israel, which is Jacob. So God promised the land to Abraham. He promised it again to Isaac. He promised it again to Jacob, and then again to Moses, and then again to Joshua. I mean, how many times does he have to promise?
I get it.
Right. In case you think that because the leadership changed, no, it's forever and ever. So again, this explains everything. It explains why they refuse any parts, any gifts. It's why they're not intimidated by the fact they know we can beat them up. They don't care. It explains why every Jew, even a day-old baby, is a threat to them. Because if it comes to inheritance, a baby inherits. So this is what the war is really all about. And we don't want to talk about it. Why? We're afraid to open the conversation on chosenness. But we're going to have to. The truth will out. Now, if a prime minister from Israel would get up at the United Nations and say, all right, time to get honest. The land belongs to whoever inherits it. We are the only heirs. So the argument that they're the inheritors is wrong. And because it's an inheritance, this is the final clincher, because it's an inheritance, I cannot give it to you. It's not mine to give away. It belongs to my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren who are not yet born. And I can't ask them to sign the agreement. So no, I can't give it away. And that's why every time we offered the West Bank and Gaza and Gush Katif, it just made things worse. You can't give away an inheritance. So is there hope that the Muslim world will turn around and take down the mosque so that we can build the third temple? More likely than any other plan we've come up with so far. You live in this very religious region, and all you keep saying is we're a democracy. That's like pouring salt on their wound.
Yeah, or the British and the colonial powers, the Balfour Declaration, they're the ones that gave us the... I mean, it's all true, but I don't think it'll be so impressive in that region.
Yeah, because biblically, it never belonged to the British. What do you mean they gave it?
Yeah.
So if you want to be biblical about it, we have basically two enemies throughout history. The descendants of Esav, who was in a competition with Jacob as to who was the firstborn. And then there's Ishmael in competition with Isaac about who was the firstborn. For most of our history, we have been fighting with Esav because Europe is Esav. Rome is Esav. The descendants of Esav, the Christian world, is 1,000 years older than Islam. So for 2,000 years, we've been suffering at the hands of the descendants of Esav. Now, what does the Torah say about Esav? This is absolutely fascinating. In very, very concise, brief description, the Torah tells us the difference between Esav and Ishmael. Esav was a hunter. That's what it says. Esav was a hunter. He lived by the sword. So when Jacob asks Esau, will you sell the rights of the firstborn to me? He says, sure, for a bowl of soup. And he actually is quoted in the Torah as saying, what do I need the rights of the firstborn for? Well, don't you want the land of Israel? If you're the firstborn, you get the land. Esau says, I'm a hunter, not an inheritor. If I want something, I'll take it by the sword. So I don't need to inherit. I take what I want. That's who I am. For 2,000 years, we've been fighting or trying to survive that sword. Now that we have a sword, we have an army for the first time in 2,000 years, our answer now is, all right, then let's fight. We're so used to responding to Esau that now that we're dealing with Ishmael, we're giving Ishmael the same answer we gave Esau. We don't know who we're fighting. The leadership in Israel are all European. Their family, their history suffered from Esau. We just have to wake up and realize this is not Esau anymore. This is Ishmael. And Ishmael is not a hunter. He's not a fighter. He's an inheritor. Like, for example, hunters don't die for the cause. Hunters are out to win. What does this dying for the cause mean? It means I'm not a hunter. Another thing about hunters is they love trophies. When Romans sacked Jerusalem, they took everything they could get their hands on as trophies. And then they make this arch of Titus to actually show that they sacked Jerusalem. They don't want it forgotten. They don't want it covered up. Like the hunter who goes hunting for bear. When he kills the bear, he doesn't destroy the evidence. He brings it home and makes a rug out of it. Or he hangs the head of the deer on his wall over the fireplace. Christians never wanted to wipe out the Jewish people. That's an anti-Christian idea. Because they want to convert us, they want to enslave us, they want evidence that they won. No Jews, how are you going to boast? What have you got to show for your conquest? Ishmael never takes trophies. Their trophy is to die. Very different. Problem is, we talk to them as if we're talking to Esau.
But isn't honor and trophies somewhat similar?
Yeah, well, it depends on what you call honor. You want to honor your conquest or you want to honor who you are? Ishmael wants to honor who they are. It's not what, it's who. And that's why we can't tell them we have the atomic bomb. Yeah, so you're going to kill me? What does that prove? See, to Esau, that would be a good response. Don't mess with me. We have nuclear weapons. And the real question is, why doesn't that intimidate Ishmael? You starting up with a nuclear power? Are you crazy? And their answer is, what? You're going to wipe us out? We are dying for the cause. That's our honor. So we have to realize who we're talking to and what we're talking about. We're finished with Esav. This is Ishmael. And in some way, Ishmael will become our better friends when this is all over than Esav will ever be.
Because
they're more passionate about their beliefs. And once they believe that the Jews are Jewish, are the people of Israel, it will become their honor to serve Jewish cause, to have the third temple built. And look, the Persians built the second temple for all practical purposes. Once there was the miracle of Purim, Persia, that wanted to kill all Jews, turned around and built the second temple. Well, here we go again. Those who want to kill us will build the third temple.
It's funny because many people will think these words are so fanciful, but how else are things going to end up? If we believe in a world that becomes whole and at peace, it has to happen. Naturally. There's got to be a path forward.